So I'm going to take a look at your brand and see what we can do to optimize this. So let's go through this. So I'm viewing this on mobile because that is where the majority of Shopify traffic browses and buys on. So the last sleep solution you'll ever need, guaranteed. And you have sleep like you're dead, and then it's called kill switch, okay? Now, what I would say is you have an image back here that's kind of small, but it's showing actually how to actually use the product. That will be a better image that you could put in your hero section, is this image back here, not an image of the product this big, because you actually have the product in that image as well. But the reason why that one is better is because you're showing how it actually is being used. And so when someone looks at this product straight away, they might think, is this a pill? Is this powder? Is this something else? What is this? And so you want to be able to show instantly how your product actually works, especially if it's a consumable product, especially if it's a product that you're actually eating or consuming. Because you have here in really small writing, hot cocoa, and you have down here in your body text, you're explaining how it works. But again, that's taking a few seconds in. You're assuming that the person is going to wait a few seconds and read all of that. When people land on your first section on your page, on your website, they only have a few seconds. It's often below 4 seconds before they're making up their mind whether they want to stay on your site and learn more or they want to bounce and go. That is why I'm saying all of these little things, you want to make it absolutely instant for them to understand how your product works. So again, I'd recommend taking that other image, making that your main image, because you have everything there. You're showing how it's actually been made. You're showing its powder. You're showing that there's a little scoop inside. And I just think it's a better image overall. Looks a lot more professional. Now your headline, I'm not a big fan of it because it's just a statement that a lot of, other brands would make as well. The last sleep solution you'll ever need. So let's see if we can find a better one. Something that's a bit more powerful. Something that really explains why your product is different. You could mention this. The fact it's clinically studied and formulated ingredients, that could be something to bring in there. This could be also a good thing to bring into your headline is with no groggy aftermath. Yeah, I definitely think this is a better image. You could even bring in the sleep score as well. So fall asleep fast, stay asleep and wake up refreshed. I actually think something like that could be a better headline for you. So on the top above this headline, you could add another little line and you could say delicious hot chocolate sleep formula. And I think if we did that, if we replaced your headline and we added another little sub headline at the top and then replaced your image, that would make this section so much more powerful. The reason why I'm focusing on this section so much is because this is the first section that people are going to see if you're driving traffic to this page. And so it's going to have the biggest impact on your conversions, biggest impact on your performance. So those are the things that I'd recommend you test. Now let's quickly just go ahead and see what else you can do to optimize. Okay, so this is all a landing page. So you're driving people down to here. Now the biggest uplift that you're going to make in this section is with your images, because this is what the majority of people engage with. So what I would love to know, or what you should be doing with these images, is each of these images, by just me swiping through the images, I should understand everything about your product, what the main benefits are, and why I should basically go ahead and buy it. It should answer my main objections. So that's what I'd recommend, is go through this strategically and see, okay, is this giving me enough information to win the sale? And if it's not, then it means that we're missing out some key elements. So for example, I would love to see in this section, instead of just throwing in the supplement facts down here, which is going to be very difficult for people to actually read. Like, just think of it. They're going to have to zoom in here. Right in here, bring in that section that you had on the ingredients. That's going to be a really important one. People are going to know what is actually in this. And this section is not really great because they're having to swipe. Look how much effort it takes to go through the whole thing. These horizontal sliding carousels are not really great for user experience. So I would take this section and try and fit it into a square, like one of these squares, okay, and put some text in there. List out the ingredients and explain why you formulated them. Why is that arrangement of ingredients so good for this product, so good for their health, so good for their sleep? So this guy, Dave Asprey, yeah, he's. I was thinking his name rings a bell, and he's of course the famous author, right? This is great if you have social proof like this that you're connected with, but you should be leveraging it. Like, you should be really leveraging his social proof, not just throwing him in a small little quote down here. And also, this photo of him, I don't think it does him justice, because I remember him from wearing the glasses. This is how I remember him. So I would take a photo of him, of how most people recognize him. And I think that's with the glasses, at least from my perspective. I could be wrong here, but definitely leverage him more and explain underneath his name who he is. just so people are not getting confused, like Dave Asprey, just by reading this, for someone who doesn't know him, he just sounds like a random person. But of course, he's a big name, especially in the wellness space. So bring in some social proof onto that. Show, okay, he's a, X-time best-selling author. Leverage a better photo of him and see if you can actually bring him up in your hero section. So what I would actually do is this. I would make this little small photo your main photo in your hero section, and then still keep a little circular photo like that and put his face there. And then you could say, instead of sleep like you're dead, you could say, loved by Dave Asprey or approved by Dave Asprey, New York Times 4 times best-selling author. You don't need to cram too much into your hero section, but I'm saying leverage that social proof a little bit more. And that's going to make this section a lot more powerful. I've given you some tips down here. Make sure all of these different photos are calling out the top main selling points, and make sure they have at least a tab or an image on the ingredients. I think that's so important. Cool. Well, hopefully that has given you some value.
If you're looking for further help, we do offer a service where we can craft a high converting landing page that is designed to outbeat your current page by at least 10%. Our specialty is designing these high converting landing pages, and we pretty much do this every day for the e-com clients we work with, such as Snow, CarePod, Soloway, Velvet Caviar, and many more D2C brands, helping them to increase their ad performance and get better results in terms of their conversion rate, average order value, and overall profitability. If you're interested in learning what results we can get for you and how our process works, then check out the description. There are links to our website. And of course, you can also book in a call with me and answer any questions you have. Cool. And I hope you got some value from this video.